The Second Amendment is dealt a blow. The ongoing crisis at the border, and Joe Biden's doing a news conference. Hi, Dave here from Informed American. I hope you're all having a great day. I also want to get to, towards the end of the show, your replies to the question that we posed to you. It was actually a subject of the video earlier this week of Trump potentially launching a social media platform and asking all of you if you will join. So I will get to that in just a bit. We got a lot of things to run through here today, so I'm going to be doing sort of a rapid fire thing. And I think in the end, it's all going to sort of come together, how quickly things are moving. I'm a bit cynical today, to be quite honest, as things are moving very, very rapidly, and I'm sure you're all feeling that as well. So let's get to a ruling from the Ninth Circuit. Federal court rules Second Amendment does not guarantee open carry of guns in public. Controversial decision upholding Hawaiian case will go to SCOTUS amid national debate on gun control. Looks like a typo there from the Daily Mail. No thank you, Daily Mail, although I like them as a news source. You got to at least write this properly. It says the en banc the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals issued a 7-4 decision that reviewed 700 years of legal history from the United States and England, determined numerous laws have upheld the government's responsibility to protect citizens in public and have prohibited certain weapons in public. The decision upheld a county law in Hawaii that limited carry permits and ruled a decision applies wherever they are carried concealed or openly. And now we're going to go to the Supreme Court. What do you think of this decision? Does the government have the right to restrict you from being able to open carry or concealed carry? Now, as we talked about, following the fallout from the Boulder, Colorado shooting, which left 10 people dead, which we do have an update on that. And yes, I recorded before the suspect was identified, so we've learned some things on that. And I was sort of trying to do talking about gun control. That's definitely on the agenda, and it is coming, at least in terms of proposed legislation. Not sure what's going to get passed. But I was talking through to all of you what you kind of thought. I mean, should we have, some of you said in the comments below, and I do want you to comment down below all the time and all these topics that I'm covering. I want to know your opinion on that. Many of you did respond. I believe there was one response that said any law is an infringement on my Second Amendment, right? And then others are like, well, what they consider to be a more reasonable position, which is some restrictions are sort of reasonable, right? I mean, where do we draw the line? What about a rocket launcher, right? Is that covered under the Second Amendment? I think most people would probably say no, although you never know. All rights, even though they are rights, are subject to some form of regulation. I think most of us could agree on that. There should be some. In other words, you have the right to vote, but not in all circumstances. You have the right to free speech, but not in all circumstances. You have a right to bear arms, but as I said with the rocket launcher example, yes, it's extreme, but it is a restriction. You could say, well, I'm just using it for hunting or something like that, or personal protection, possibly, depending on the neighborhood you live in. So that's the real question. And then beyond legislation that could potentially come down the pike, well, what if a court just says you can't? And now I think you might be reading this being like, well, the Ninth Circuit is an idiot and they're stupid. And obviously, once this gets to the Supreme Court, surely the Supreme Court, with all the Trump nominees in there, will rule against this and strike this down and allowing open carry. Well, I wouldn't be so sure. And this is the kind of thing that is coming down and something to be wary of. It starts incrementally, and then there's legislation, and then a court rules on it, and then whatever the Supreme Court says is the Constitution. No, you might think you have a piece of paper on here that's pretty clear to you, and a plain reading says, no, this is against the Constitution. Well, if the Supreme Court disagrees, then they are the law of the land in effect. No, not the Constitution. The Constitution is whatever the Supreme Court says it is. And you may disagree with that, but that is functionally where we live in this society. So, as I warned it earlier in the week, gun control is coming, and here's or potentially coming, or at least wanting to be pushed. And here's a small little piece here, right off. Just a day later, we get the Ninth Circuit saying you can't open carry. And in fact, that was one of the issues there in Boulder. As I shared that Washington Post story with you that, well, that it got struck down by the court because Boulder wanted to restrict open carry. And look what happened. A guy shot up the grocery store. Well, I don't think that would have protected it. As many of you agree and commented on our site here that, look, criminals, if they're going to do what they want at some point, if someone determined, will probably find a way. And you can see this overseas in the UK. No, they're pretty good at stopping gun crime, so people just stab each other instead. I mean, I guess not that I want to get shot or stabbed. I guess a stabbing could be less lethal, but it shows the point where even if, depending on what weapons you restrict, people will just find, crazy people and nutty people and murderous people will find a way to be murderous. And speaking of the Colorado shooting, oh, that's nice little reveal. Boulder shooter known to FBI. Threatened fake hate crime charges against classmates he attacked. And there's the picture of him. He was a Syrian immigrant. Apparently, he's been living most of his life in the United States. He was previously known to the FBI because he was linked to another individual under investigation, according to law enforcement. So the FBI, the FBI became aware of them because he's an associate with someone who was on their radar. And you can read the rest of this, basically saying how the guy was mentally ill, paranoid, and antisocial. Where was the FBI on this? I don't know. Maybe they were too busy figuring out or checking out what you were posting on Facebook to be too bothered to check up on. And maybe this clearly mentally ill guy. And if you read through this thing, he's paranoid. He thought people were watching him all the time. He was a bit outspoken on social media. And I don't want to make a big deal about this shooter in particular. But more, thanks, FBI. More worried about memes on Facebook and Twitter than you are actual deranged people who was just ready to snap at any given moment. Unbelievable. Now, a couple weeks ago, I posed a question to you. Will Biden ever do a press conference? And it had been at that time, I guess it was the longest time from inauguration to a press conference. Normally, presidents give a press conference within about a month or so of being inaugurated. Biden was holding the longest streak in over 100 years. So here we are now, in late March. Now 2 months now, so longest drought, I guess, if you want to call it that, between holding a press conference. But that is apparently happening today. And, of course, we record in the mornings here, so we will miss it. But if anything interesting comes out of it, be sure to check. So he's going to hold his first press conference under pressure on immigration and guns. Of course, we covered guns first, and yes, immigration, the ongoing crisis at the border. Now, how will Biden do in this press conference? Well, let's hope he does a little better than he did on the Air Force One steps just a couple of days ago. We didn't have a chance to play this before. Oh, well, this is what they were worried about, right? You send this guy out there in front of the press, and he's going to literally trip all over himself. So it remains to be seen what the outcome will be there. Well, he did give a good salute. I'll give President Biden that. So curious what kind of questions there will be. If there will be softballs, yes, of course we know there will be softballs. Oh, poor Joe, having trouble now on the border. We haven't hit on this in a few days because I don't necessarily want to. It's an ongoing crisis, and I don't want to necessarily talk about it every single day because it is depressing of how terrible the situation is. Now, but don't worry, everybody. If you're worried that maybe Biden is not up to the task, well, Joe Biden taps Kamala Harris to handle the border crisis, and the governor of Arizona was not very thrilled with this, with Joe Biden deferring to Vice President Biden.
Well, I have been informed that Vice President Kamala Harris has been put in charge of border security. She's about the worst possible choice that one could make. In no point in her career has she given any indication that she considers the border a problem or a serious threat.
And that was a little bit low in case you couldn't hear that. Basically saying, here's a quote here, at no point in her career has she given any indication that she considers the border a problem or a serious threat. And this Daily Mail article, I'm not going to play this video, but this is from the Homeland Security confirmation hearing as a part of the Senate, asking this Border Patrol official, do you understand the comparisons that people make between the KKK and ICE? He's like, no, The Constitution demands that we protect the border. This has nothing to do with ICE. And Kamala Harris basically saying that ICE has been terrorizing migrants in much the same way as the KKK did. So how do you think Vice President Kamala Harris is going to handle the border situation? Oh, goodness gracious. Here's a quote here. Are you aware there's a perception that ICE is administering its power in a way causing fear and intimidation, particularly among immigrants, specifically among immigrants coming from Mexico and Central America? Wow. Yeah. So now in here it's basically says, they have a total here. There's about, thousands of kids being held at the border now. And, excuse me. And at the bottom, there's a quote here saying we're going to uphold the law, echoing statements from Joe Biden saying, don't come now, which I said means, don't come now means come later. Why? Somebody tell me that. So you can see where this is going, everybody. What it really is, it's not to maybe reinstitute the Remain in Mexico policy or to deter migration, mass migration into the United States. Now, they do say they're going to work with Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador. I guess maybe we'll be sending some taxpayer funds over there to help them with gang violence. But we know where this ends, don't we? Come one, come all. We might not have the facilities now, but just give us some time so we can basically process you through into the United States. We will not enforce once you're in the United States. You'll be here forever, and then you could bring your family over. Yada yada yada, all down the line, and that's basically where we're headed. Now, there was another interesting story from the Daily Mail, exclusive. They have doctors and chefs. They're living better than us. Angry Texas residents tell how Biden administration is housing over 500 migrant youths at an all-inclusive $33 million man camp just a few feet away from their homes. There's a couple of shots here. There they are. Well, at least they're getting some exercise. Now, these are not babies. These are teenagers. And this guy happens to live right next to this place, and he's not happy, basically saying, I've got no chance to sell my home or to rent it out. They're the cooking facilities. Now, all on taxpayer dime. There they are. What do you think about that? What do you think about housing, putting them in a man camp? Unreal, isn't it? Now, it all kind of comes together. Where do you think there's going to be? We already have the gun push, that's coming. Gun control legislation is coming down. It remains to be seen what will be passed. However, there is the back door, which is the Supreme Court courts and the Supreme Court can start chipping away at these rights. What do you think about that? There's going to be a big push for some sort of amnesty in terms of immigration, legalizing. We already have what is apparently an open border. And while you're keeping score, a nice reminder of where corporate America sits on this debate. America's biggest companies push for path to citizenship for dreamers. America's biggest companies urge Congress, now this is from a couple of weeks ago, urge Congress on Wednesday to establish a permanent path to citizenship for dreamers, undocumented immigrants brought into the country as children. They will probably expand the definition of a dreamer. We just saw some. 100 companies. In a letter, a coalition of more than 100 companies and trade associations asked Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell to pass the Bipartisan Dream Act of 2021. I'm not going to get into the details on that, but if you were curious where corporate America stands, well, you have your answer. And putting it all together, finally, story from Axios: Biden's New Deal, re-engineering America quickly. President Biden recently held an undisclosed East Room session with historians that included discussions of how big is too big, how fast is too fast to jam through once-in-a-lifetime historic changes to America. Why it matters. Will this surprise you, anybody? The historian's views were very much in sync with his own. It's time to go even bigger and faster than anyone expected. If that means chucking the filibuster and bipartisanship, so be it. If you thought the changes under the Obama administration were fast, well, you ain't seen nothing yet. They have a chance. They run the culture. They have ostensibly a majority in the Senate. They have a majority in the House of Representatives. They have the media. They have the corporations. And, of course, they have the presidency. Whether you think Biden is actually doing anything or if it's Kamala Harris. I mean, we reported a couple weeks ago how Biden has basically deferred foreign policy to Kamala Harris. Now the biggest situation going on domestically is this crazy crisis going on the border. Well, Kamala Harris, you take that one too. Why? Well, there's 4 reasons. I gave you some other reasons. He's full, as I told you, full party control in Congress. Party activists egging him on. Strong gathering economic wins at his back, and he's very popular in the polls. I don't think any of that matters as much as the fact that they have now captured the culture, the media, and big business for the agenda, and they are going to ram it through as fast as they can, and probably before any kind of backlash might occur at the midterms. It might affect the House of Representatives tally and Democrats potentially losing their majority. It's not as big as reported. It's not a massive majority in the House of Representatives, and if Republicans take it back, well, a lot of this stuff does go out the window. But there will be a big, big push over the next few months. So that, no, it does not look good. And I hate to be a downer here and a bit cynical on this, but look, guys, this is where we stand. And guys and gals, this is where we stand right now. This is what's coming down. Guns, immigration, climate, it's all happening. It's all going to be happening very, very quickly. Before we move on to your comments on the Trump social media platform, I do want to tell you quickly, we have a special offer from Curcumin 2000. If you're out there in the world as COVID restrictions are being loosened and you're interacting with people, if you're looking for a way to boost your immunity, this could be a product for you. So I encourage you to check that out. So we asked you all on our Facebook poll, will you be interested in joining former President Trump's new social media platform? And I think we have a resounding result. 95% say yes, just 5% say no. Many of you commented. Many of you also wrote in. And when I did the video earlier in the week, which I'm not going to go through the entirety of my comments here, because you can check that out. Just go back a couple of days on informedamerican.com or here on Facebook or YouTube, however you're watching. But yes, many of you are interested. You're dying to be able to speak freely to like-minded people, not being censored, just to have a forum of like-minded people, a little bit of community online, similar to what I say we do here, our little corner of the internet, to build relationships, talk about these issues, get your feedback, see where the pulse is for all of you, and to let you know, even maybe more important than anything else, is that no, you are not crazy. You are not on an island, and in fact, you may be sharing popular sentiment that is being censored, put down, and shoved into a box because it doesn't fit with the agenda. So basically, all of you, I'm going to say, want to join. Some of you asked if it's going to be free, and I think it is, or what it's going to look like. I just don't know. We don't have enough details on it. They gave us a 2 to 3 month timeline. They didn't say, well, is it going to be a Facebook type thing? Is it going to be a Twitter type thing? Something completely different? Will it be a news website as well with a social component? I don't know yet, but I don't think you're going to have to pay for it. Now, there may be some premium option or something like that, but we just don't have any news on it. So as more comes out, I will definitely be here to share that all with you. And just a few comments here. Absolutely, yes, I love our president. This comes from Lori Ann. I stood with him then. I stand with him now, and I will support him to the end. I pray he keeps fighting for us, the people, our USA. God knows, sir, we need you. Save our country. Patty says, yes, I'm honored to have lived in it during his administration. I hope he returns. Yes, he's the best president ever. Jack says, we'd be honored to be a member of his page. He's our president and will always be. God bless President Trump. I mean, this is the sentiment from all of you. Basically, no dissent. There's some little arguments down there, but as you can see, 95% said you would join. Absolutely, yes. I think President Trump is an amazing president and has done an amazing job. Love him and Melania. We'll stand with him until Jesus comes. He's God's man, and God will put him back into the White House and take this corrupt... Okay, I'm not going to click see more there. Absolutely, President Trump was and is the best president. We must continue his policies. Well, they're being unraveled. I supported him in the beginning, and I haven't changed my mind. We need him now. Love this president. So I want you to comment down below. I covered a lot here. This video is running a little bit longer than normal. We covered a lot. I think all these things do connect. Gun control, immigration, and I said climate stuff, big tech censorship. It all connects to the same thing. And they, the Democrats and Biden, are going to push every bit that they can. So what do you do? That's tough, isn't it? That's the tough part. Now, if a Trump social media platform does launch, I expect many, many will join. If there's any indication from all of you, you will all be on that platform. Some 75 plus million people voted for President Trump. I would assume almost all of them, if they're active on social media, will join. But then the question is, as I said, yes, we all want a place to build a community. We all want a place to speak freely without being censored and to not be gaslit by the mainstream media. So that's great. But meanwhile, if the Trump social media platform comes up and millions join, and as I said on Monday, where does it go? What's the point? Being able to speak freely is a great thing, but it's not an end into itself. You have to change the culture. You have to affect change that way. And as all this legislation could be potentially being, say, Second Amendment takes a blow. They pass amnesty. They pass some massive climate change bill or something like that. Just a boondoggle. It's just saying, for instance. Well, if all you're doing, in other words, is just sitting there on the Trump social media platform yelling and complaining about it, is it actually doing anything? Now, I would say no, it's not, and it could be the danger of it becoming an echo chamber, but it's just a first step. That's my point here. We didn't get to where we are overnight, and we're not going to go to where you want to be or where we all want to be overnight either. It's going to be a long way. You have to change the culture. Politics comes down from the culture. I believe that's what Andrew Breitbart said. Politics is downstream from culture. You can't change politics until you change the culture. And then everything flows down from there. And you can see business owners lining up for amnesty. Remember the old trope from years ago that big business is Republican. Well, not anymore, if that was ever true. So it's going to be a long road ahead. And as I said, I'm a bit cynical today, but we might not see a change in your lifetime. And I might not even see it in my lifetime. Could be some dark days ahead. And it's not just, and the last thing I'll say here, it's not just conservatives. I've seen a lot from liberals, classical liberals, those types. People who value free speech, dialogue, who want the Second Amendment protected, who actually do think, despite the problems with police, that yes, we do need police on our streets. Classical liberals are seeing their culture erode. It's just a small bit that has captured the culture. They don't hold the majority of opinions. As we showed, Donald Trump won in 2016, what I showed about looking at the voters in 2016 and 2020, Trump ran basically as a moderate. Socially conservative, yes, but moderate economically. And he wasn't even, other than really abortion, Trump was fairly moderate socially. The moderates do have appeal in a certain way. It's not all just fire and brimstone conservatives that are having a problem with this culture. You go out there and you look around on Twitter, Facebook, regular mainstream people are seeing this. Even journalists are seeing this. Classical liberal types are seeing this, not just conservatives. They see cancel culture, all this nuttiness that's going around saying, hold on a second, this is bad. Well, we have to do more than just complain about it. But I guess a Trump social media platform is a start where people can start organizing, gathering, realizing, like I said, you're not out there on an island. In fact, most people probably share your views. So that's where I'll leave it today. I want to know what you think about everything that I've covered today. We've kind of gone around the world here on all these topics, kind of bouncing around. It's kind of stream of consciousness today. putting this all together for all of you. So comment down below. Let me know what you think. If you're watching here on Facebook, please hit the like button and share this video with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to our channel, and we always want you to hang out here at informedamerican.com. Join 250,000 subscribers by joining our email list. Comment down below. Hang out here. We'd love to have you as we're building this small corner of the internet. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you tomorrow on an episode with our editor, Rodney Johnson, on Get Informed America.